What's up, guys? This is Mike Guaribo Ferrer coming back at you with a new video. I apologize for not posting yesterday. We'll get into that here in a little bit. I want to remind you guys of the OCB Colorado Natural happening September 11th at the Rialto Theater in Loveland, Colorado. Please come support the bodybuilders, the fitness models, everybody there. I'm gonna be there. It'll be my first competition. So please come by and show your support. Yesterday I got some news that was heartbreaking. Found out that my aunt had passed away. She suffered from a number of things, ranging from depression to Parkinson's. And it was hard. It's extremely hard to think about. She used to be one of my favorite aunts, that I used to love going to her house, hanging out with her and her kids. And to find out that she had passed, it was heartbreaking. To be honest, I still haven't processed it. One, I honestly don't know how to process that. And it's pushed me to where I've had to shut everything down. Mind you, in a contest prep, pretty much you have to shut everything down as it is. Can't let really anything negative or anything that could sidetrack you from your competition. I immediately popped in my headphones, started working out. You know, I got a hold of my mom, hold of my aunt, and let them know that I was there for them. But in my head, I couldn't process it. The thing that it did do was it actually put certain things in my heart and in my mind. And this is what I want to talk to you guys about. The first thing that it did was made me view my own mortality. Now, we all have a different view of what happens after we die. Nobody knows who's right, who's wrong. Some people are adamant that they're right, other people are adamant that they're right. But nobody knows until it actually happens to us. With that in mind, that's not important. What's important is what we do today. What we do living on this earth. Because as I mentioned in the last video, there are two constants: birth and death. We're all gonna die, people. And it's hard to comprehend how to accept that. But the thing with accepting that is that it motivates us. It gives us that kick in the ass to live the life that we want. To live a life that we could be proud of. So many people worry about death and what's going to happen after that they don't live their lives the way they want. And that's a big problem, because if we're willing to sacrifice our happiness, our well-being, because we want to look at and try to figure out what's at the end of the grave, then we're kind of doomed. I hate saying that, but it's true. As I prep for this competition, I try to keep the blinders on. I try to make sure that nothing affects me. And this is no different. I pretty much had to put the blinders on. I'll mourn later. And is that a good thing? Probably not. But it's how I cope with things. And it's something I do have to resolve. But it made me realize that, between this competition, my graduation, being a personal trainer, I have to live the life that I want. And I have to be that example to my kids. Because if I go around acting one way and they see me acting a totally different way, what are they going to do? If I'm going to tell you guys that you really should embrace the idea of living to the fullest, doing what you want, be it a new job, one that's going to be satisfying, getting a new partner, go skydiving. But at home, I'm constantly worrying about, am I going to go to hell? Am I going to go to heaven? Am I going to be reincarnated? I become the biggest hypocrite in the world. And unfortunately, that's how it is in society nowadays. Either we ignore it, or we put too much stock into it. My son, he's 10, Caleb. I love the crap out of him. He ended up waking up one morning, freaking out, because he had a nightmare that he had gone to hell. Mind you, in our house, it's pretty much, you believe what you want to believe. We're not going to force you to believe in what I believe, or what my wife believes, or anything like that. So he's always been one of those kids where he loves going to church. And when he woke us up, saying that, it was one of those things where, how do I reply? I didn't know. It took a couple of days before I was able to let him know. I told him if it's gonna happen, it happens. But nobody knows. Now, you don't take that away from them. Like, he wants to go to heaven. Okay, what do you have to do to go to heaven? Well, follow the 10 Commandments and, follow Jesus' teachings and things like that. But is that, something I've had an argument with other Christians about is, it's common sense. If you think about it. You're not going to kill someone because there's consequences. You're not going to steal from someone because there's consequences. You're not going to put your mother and father down because you know they gave birth to you. Mind you, it's not always the case. But the thing is, if we're not living a life that we want, that makes us happy, then what life are we living? That's one of the things that I felt struck me in hearing of her passing. What am I doing with my life? Yeah, I'm competing. And that's been a dream since 2008. Yeah, I'm about to graduate college for the first time at 40 years old. But what have I done in my life? It sounds kind of egotistical, just because society's taught we can't think about ourselves. In some areas. In other areas, it's, survival of the fittest. And it stuck in my head yesterday that it's something I have to open myself up to. I have to be willing to let myself be happy in order to make my wife happy, in order to make my kids happy, or at least show them how to be happy. It's not the easiest thing to do. One of the things that I realize, I have type 1 diabetes. And for years, I got diagnosed in 2008 with type 1 diabetes, and it ruined everything. I weighed 250, was prepping for my first competition, and the moment I found out I had diabetes, I let myself go. And I went from 250 to 160 in a matter of 3 months. And I was like that for years, to where I didn't care. Diabetes took something from me. I died inside. Fast forward to today, and it sort of flipped the script, where I'm 193 now. I'm not the biggest by far. I'm not the strongest. I'm not the fastest. But in my mind and in my heart, as I mentioned before, I'm a champion. Everything that I do, I'm a champion. And the reason behind it, and it was reinforced with this news, is that just by trying, just by signing the dotted line and paying the money to register for the event, that made me a champion. I could place 10th. And will it hurt? Absolutely. I prepped for this, I've been busting my ass, but got 10th. But the thing I gotta remember is, I put my name in the hat against everybody's, except my family, against everybody's opinion of me. And now I'm defeating diabetes. I've gone down from taking 40 units of Lantus and however many units of Novolog, just because it's a sliding scale, to taking 40 units every other day and not having to take Novolog at all. Ever since I started this. And that's the second point. So many of us want to live forever. Supposedly, some scientists somewhere might have found the invincibility cure, or whatever it's called. We're all gonna die, dude. No matter how much our science will advance, there's no stopping death. Now, what are we gonna do to elongate our life? And that's the important thing. I want to live till 90. I want to become this old man, pretty much platinum white hair, laying next to my wife, watching my kids as kids, and possibly their kids. That's my goal. Because that's important. So, what do I have to do to get to that point? Eating crap like potato chips, candy bars, pies. I love pies. Give me a freaking New York cheesecake any day and I'll freaking devour it. Not that I'm supposed to. I will say that. It's an every once in a while thing. But the thing that I'm trying to convey is you want to live longer than your parents, than your grandparents. You got to learn to take care of yourself. I started working out, not because of me. High school, I took a gym class. It was a weightlifting class because it was the easiest. And I hated it. Anything that had to do with weights, that had to do with exercise, I hated it. I loved sports that were associated with it, such as, baseball, football. Never got to play them. But I hated the idea of having to put weights on a bar and having to lift that. I was lazy. I'm not scared to admit it. It wasn't until my dad had a heart attack. And I don't remember the exact year that this happened. But I ended up going to Florida, where they were at, from Colorado. It was November. I almost turned around because of the humidity. Hot as Florida. And when I saw my dad laying there, his chest stapled, catheter sticking out of his junk, couldn't remember anybody. Luckily for me, when I walked in, he knew exactly who I was. Didn't know who my mom was, which was hilarious. I swore I'd never get to that point. I swore I'd never have diabetes, I'd high cholesterol, wouldn't have a heart attack, none of that shit. and I thought I could beat it. And I did pretty good in 2008. I was ready for that competition, 250 pounds. You know, how I managed to get that big, I don't know, it took years. And then diabetes hit. And it wasn't type 2. I could have probably dealt with that because I could work on eliminating that from my life. It was type 1. And that floored me. It killed me. And I'm sure all of you have gone through something similar, where something so traumatic happens to you to where you want to give up. By 2008, I had attempted suicide since I was 14. I had stopped because I found something that gave me life. Put a bar in front of me and I was like a kid in a candy store. But once diabetes hit, it destroyed me. My first thought was, great, I am gonna get a heart attack and end up living like my dad. Not that my dad did anything wrong. My mom's really good with him when it comes to, you know, his health and things like that. With him, he was a big guy, and it just happened out of nowhere. So in my head, I was already done. I was defeated. I had failed. And it wasn't until my divorce from my ex-wife, I meet the women of my dreams and my wife, current wife Sabrina, where I start realizing that something has to change. And it took a little longer than I probably would have wanted, but I started getting back into exercise and started eating right and things like that. I hadn't thought about competing in years. And it wasn't until last year that I had talked to Sabrina and I was like, I'm gonna do it. She was all for it. She said, go ahead. And then that didn't work out. And then this year, I said, I'm doing it. I'm late. Am I gonna come in perfect condition? No, but I don't think anybody ever does. Am I gonna come in 250 pounds? Absolutely not. I'm 40 years old and I've only really been working out consistently for about a year and a half. Roughly. I had to calculate that. But the thing is, I know that's what I guess you could say, called for. And there's a reason behind it because, and I don't know if you guys could see this or understand it. And I hope you do, because I think the same thing's for you. In fact, I know it. Sometimes the very thing you want to do, granted, as long as it's not breaking the law or something immoral or unethical, will take you to a place where, because you thought of yourself, you'll be able to help others. And that's ultimately my goal. Yeah, I want to win. I want to get my pro card. That's my personal goal. I want to be the best dad to these kids. But ultimately, I want to be able to be that example for kids. Specifically for kids who are abused, physically, mentally, sexually. For those who are still having trouble after said abuse in adapting and finding their spark. Because it happened to me. I should have been dead. The fact that I didn't start drinking, or not drinking, I was drinking drugs. Marijuana to me is not a drug, it's a plant. And even then, I rarely ever do it. But the fact that I'm not laying in a grave right now, it astonishes me. Because I should have. With the amount of times that I tried killing myself, I drank myself fucking stupid. I got in with wrong crowds. It's a miracle that I'm still here. And I personally think that if you open your eyes and see that we're all destined to die, we're all going to that same place. But that's a destination. That's not important. The important part is the journey, each step. You could either destroy your life, or you could build it up and become something that others could aspire to be. I think that's why bodybuilding's been something that I've loved from, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Frank Zane. Even though I hated weightlifting, I looked up at those people and I was like, I want that, I just don't want to put in the work. Put in the work. And I wouldn't even call it work, because if you enjoy it, it's not work. It's fun. This is fun. Having weights in my house, being able to lift them up, that's fun. And I'm teaching my kids, especially my 7-year-old, that living healthy doesn't have to be, oh my God, I gotta eat chicken and broccoli and rice and yada yada. I have to do cardio for 30 minutes. Oh my God, I hate this shit and all that crap. No. If it's something that for you feel that it's your niche, that it's gonna help edify you and build your self-esteem and your character and all that, because you will. Do it. And do it to the fullest. And if down the road you decide, well, this is for both guys and girls. Oh, I want to compete. Or I want to try out for the AFL, NFL, whatever FLs there are. Or play softball with the rec center team or anything like that. Do it. In fact, I'll do this for you. I dare you to do it. I dare you to find that one thing. Doesn't have to be like 20 million things. Find one thing that makes you happy, that you feel you can do, and that it's not going to be work, it's going to be fun. And I guarantee you, that'll take you to the next step, and the next step, and the next step, all the way to the grave. But on that gravestone, one word will be on there: legend. I love you guys. I will try to get another video up tomorrow. I'm going to be learning how to edit so that I can put in workouts and things like that in between these messages. I tried yesterday, it didn't really work out. And like I said, I dare you, do it. Don't say, oh, but I can't, or but why, blah, blah, blah. Just do it. Don't even think about it. Don't forget, Rialto Theater in Loveland, Colorado. The OCB Colorado Natural. I'll be there. So will a bunch of other bodybuilders, bikini contestants, fitness models, all that jazz. Tickets are on sale. Just go to ocb.com or to the Rialto Theater website, where they're also selling the tickets. All right. I love you. Peace.